Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's video, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Handcrafted, a fellow clanmate of mine, for bringing this to my attention. So some of you are going to be super happy to learn this. Some of you are going to be not so happy depending on how Plarium approaches this. Hopefully, this is working as intended, but a part of me says probably not. So let's rewind time just for a second and go back to about 2 years ago. Actually, right about 2 years ago. So January 10th, 2021. I posted my very first video on this champion right here. Demon Spawn, maybe? I don't really know what she is. Demon Spawn, okay. Umbral Enchantress. So back in January of 2021, Umbral Enchantress would do her A3 ability. She'd place Unkillable on herself. She'd place Provoke on the enemies. And she'd also place Block Active Skills on herself for the 5-turn duration. Well, this says it cannot be resisted, blocked, or cannot be removed. Testing determined that was a lie and that you actually, in fact, could cleanse that with Doom Priest and really any other cleanser. So fast forward, not too much longer, we actually had another big content creator, which was actually my first shout out from Ash, which was very appreciated then, and I still appreciate it now. And he got a lot more views on his video than I did on mine. Well, this was done between this video right here on the 10th and this video right here on the 16th. So between the 10th and the 16th, a champion who was broken, I guess, for several months. I mean, back here on this date, August 11th of 2020, I imagine Umbral was still able to be cleansed of the block active skills. The Plarium came out and actually fixed her. Okay, so secretly nerfed. Well, it wasn't really a nerf. Now she's working as intended. But little do we know that hiding underneath of us the entire last year, there was a new way to use Umbral Enchantress that does not get the block active skills placed when you use her A3 ability. So let me jump in here real quick and show you guys what I'm talking about. And if you've already been using this, hopefully Plarium doesn't fix it. But if you haven't been using it, maybe you can try it out and get some use, because either way, this build is still good. Whether you use this build with the cheese strategy, or if you use this build just in general, if it does get fixed. But let me give you an example real quick, okay? So Dragon Stage 20, we're going to use Umbral plus Siphi. The reason why is because I want to show you that this can't be blocked. So we're using Siphi for the block debuffs as well as the increased speed, because my Umbral is pretty slow right now. So Siphi gives her the increased speed, we do the A3 ability, and lo and behold, the block active skills is applied, okay? That's not good. That is not what we're looking for. Another test. Let's go ahead and try a champion who's pretty slow and can cleanse. We'll just use Mithrala and skip her first turn and then let her come back and then see if she can actually cleanse Umbral of that pesky block active skills. Because if it's not blocked, then the next turn, Umbral could be going into using her A2, which places block buffs on the enemies, which is an amazing debuff. So they have Provoke into block buffs, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So let's dial it back. So here we go. We're placing block debuffs on Umbral. Mithrala is just cutting in once again. All right, everybody's provoked. Wait for Mithrala to get a turn, and guess what? Let's see. Can we cleanse that with Mithrala's A3 ability, which says removes all debuffs? This is protected, so yeah, it's not going to cleanse it. Well, let me share with you all what the fellow clanmate of mine and a few people in the clan already knew about that I learned today. And that is, if you equip Umbral Enchantress with a stone skin set, everything that's red in her kit goes out the window. It can be blocked, it can be resisted, it can be prevented, and she can do her A3 ability and not suffer the consequence of the block active skills, which we're going to go into why this is important, but check this out. We'll get rid of those two champions. We don't need them no more. So Dragon Stage 20, Umbral Enchantress with Stone Skin, only 1 stack needed. I tried it with 2. It works perfectly fine, but you only need 1 stack, because what you can do is just do this A3 ability and no block active skills. Now Umbral can go from that A3 directly into the A2 ability, and you could, if you want to use Umbral for actual dungeon content, maybe you're an earlier game player, mid-game player, you have her, you got super lucky, but you're really annoyed about this ability always blocking your active skills, and you have to use the A2 ability first. What you can do is actually go into the presets and say, if you have Stone Skin, which isn't that hard to achieve, obviously you have to be doing some Hydra content, but just go in here, take Umbral, have her open with this, and then, or open and then don't use, and then have it prioritized for wave number 2, and then when you get to the actual boss stage, just turn it off. So then she never has block active skills. The enemies basically always stay provoked because it's a 2-turn provoke. One of the only champions besides Molly, I think Molly is the only other champion with an AoE 2-turn provoke. She also places Unkillable on herself, which is so good. Into a block buffs AoE. Man, Umbral is a solid champion, but with this, she's even better. So Stone Skin, very solid, and even if it does get fixed, Stone Skin is a very good build for her, because if you're going to use her, say in the arena, you're probably going to use her in, well, you're possibly going to use her in a go second team. If you have her in a fast team, maybe you want to have 2 stacks of Stone Skin. So then when you provoke, I mean, you have the Unkillable, so you really don't have to worry about dying. So then really only 1 stack of Stone Skin's all you need, to be honest, whether it's actually block active skills or not blocking the active skills. But let me come in here, do a few tests. Hopefully I'm not just rambling on too much. Hopefully you guys can follow along with what I'm saying. But I got 2 different team setups I want to share with you all. Also, if you made it to this point in the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't leave a hateful comment about me getting this champion nerfed, because, hey, it's going to get fixed eventually, right? If it was going to be fixed, but maybe it's working as intended. So first things first, the 2 different teams I'm going to run is going to be basically Seeker, Umbral, and Ragash. But the differences are going to be, one's going to have Madame Ceres. This is going to be against teams with champions with block debuffs, so like Elva. And then the other option is going to be like Mithrala. So teams who place Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, Mashald, Madame Ceres, teams that are going to be annoying. So honestly, this team would be better off with Mithrala, but we're probably just going to have to use Madame Ceres, because if I get controlled, it's going to be a bad day. Honestly, this team counters basically everything I was going to do as far as the go second team. So what I'll do instead is just use a go first team. Okay, so just a quick little example of a go first team with Umbral using that A3 ability. This team's going to die quick, not going to be a great test, but we are pretty high up in gold 5 right now, so we should get some pretty good tests throughout this video. We don't have increased defense for Ragash, so not the best team, but the main showcase here is Umbral Enchantress going into the A3 ability, and then obviously she's Void Affinity, so she's no weak hits. Just make sure accuracy is good, and she's gonna be perfect. I'll show you guys the masteries and the build after this video, after this little fight right here. But then Ragash comes in, does his A2, and now we still got Provoke on him for 2 turns, and it's basically gonna be GG's, right? We kill Elva eventually. She's gonna place block buffs on everybody. Elva can cleanse, which is problematic. Kymar reset. Umbral goes into another A3 ability. Unfortunately, that one did place block active skills because she only has 1 duration of the Stone Skin. But there we go. Not a problem. As far as my build right now goes for Umbral, I don't have anything specific. She's not like in the best build. She is in Stone Skin, speed tuned with my team, so she's going after my Strip or my Cleanse champion. So Mithrala, she's slower than Mithrala, and then Madame Ceres, she's slower than my Madame Ceres. So Madame Ceres is 201. You got to make sure the champions you're going against don't have any buffs preventing you from provoking them. So Umbral, you want to make sure that you have decent HP. That's the main thing that matters when it comes to Stone Skin. Defense, she does base her damage off of defense, and she can kind of hit hard, to be honest. Good speed relative to the rest of your team, and then accuracy for whatever area of arena you're in. For gold 5-ish, gold 4, gold 5, 400 accuracy should be fine for majority of the fights. Once you get closer to plat, pushing more accuracy is going to be important. But honestly, you're probably not going to be using a lot of Umbral in those higher levels of arena, but she's an excellent 3v3 champion as well. Now let's try this team against the Arbiter, Ultimate Death Knight, Trunda, and Hegemon. We can use the Cleanse champion once again. Hopefully, he doesn't have a stun set, because if we do, our Mithrala is kind of wrecked. And also, hopefully Polymorph doesn't activate, because Polymorph is obviously a big threat against champions who provoke, strip, place debuffs, anything. It's a very annoying blessing to have, but hopefully we can overcome that. So there we go. Seeker doing absolute work with the increased defense, blocking some damage from Ragash. Mithrala cleanses. Umbral Enchantress hopefully comes in with a pretty clutch provoke on everybody, preventing them from killing me, and then also doing block buffs next turn. Be pretty sweet, right? Here we go. Boom. Provoke on every single champion. Our Ragash comes in with that A2. Not going to kill everybody except for the Trunda. And then Umbral comes in. Wait, we proc the mastery that cleanses debuffs when they take so much damage. So it is what it is. Hits with their A2 ability. Block buffs. No problem. Got provoke on her once again. And GG's. So using Umbral for that provoke, very, very solid. You can use her in those go second teams. You can also use her in go first teams though. So like you saw with the Kymar Arbiter setup earlier, do the same thing here. Doesn't matter. Provoke is an amazing debuff, period. Very good if you have like Sathalia, if you have Madame Ceres. If you don't have Kymar, Umbral's great. With Kymar, you don't really need an Umbral. It's kind of overkill to provoke after the sleep. Plus, it kind of ruins the sleep anyways, and some champions are going to resist it depending on how much accuracy you actually have built onto your Umbral. But hey, it's still a very good debuff, especially if you don't have Kymar. More so if you don't have Kymar. Kymar is just so good by himself, but champions like, well, Sathalia, really good to go after Arbiter and before Umbral. But if you're doing speed versus speed, you probably don't even need a strip champion a lot of times. Unless they're running immunity sets on all their champions, you really don't need a strip champion. If you're just running Umbral by yourself, lower levels of arena. This is all talking about mid gold 5 below, and then like gold 2, 3v3 and below. I refreshed a few times. Let's go ahead and fight this team. This is going to be more appropriate along the lines of teams that this kind of team would actually counter very well. Obviously, for me, I'd probably throw in a Necrit against a lot of these teams, but let's throw in, say, a Mithrala. Mithrala is going to cleanse. We don't really need a strip champion because they have no block buffs or block debuffs. I get messed up with those two. They have no block debuff champion, no Duchess, no Brogni, nothing like that. So we should be okay with just Mithrala cleansing the decreased defense and decreased attack. So there we go. We don't even have decreased defense. Okay, there we go. Now we have decreased defense up. Seeker increases attack. That doesn't matter. What does matter is Umbral Enchantress, place and provoke on everybody except for Foley, who then proceeds to die next turn. Exactly what I like to see. Place Hex, and boom. There we go. The match is over. So Umbral Enchantress, obviously, these fights didn't go long enough to really showcase the benefit of having that A3 ability not place block active skills. In dungeons, this is going to be massive. You can turn it off on after the first use on the first wave, go into the second wave with it off cooldown, prioritize it, and then against the boss, just turn it off. You'll never see block active skills, and if you do, the enemy will already be provoked, and it'll be no problem. You can place the block active skills as well as block buffs on the enemy team, and you're going to have a lot of success. In the arena, you're really only going to feel it if the match goes on for several turns, but if it goes on for several turns, then Umbral can begin to place block buffs, really slow up the enemy team, and overall make for an awesome use of a champion. And the best part is Stone Skin makes a lot of sense on her. Like, Stone Skin on Umbral is not an issue whatsoever, and it's a very good set because it makes her survive. She places a provoke, she's going to survive until that point, and then when she provokes, she has unkillable. So it's an awesome champion, awesome set. These are the masters I'm using, nothing particular. I'm not actually build this specifically for my team. So build the masters how you see fit. This is what I have. Hopefully you all found this video interesting. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.